And we're thanking God for the sports which take our minds off the also familiar political rhetoric. It gives us all a break, doesn't it? But for its necessity, I bet you would not love not to hear politics. But here is to a brilliant week ahead, and the onus lies on us once again to keep you informed of how your taxes are being spent, for better or for worse. The immediate past week has been full of news as usual. The Asantehene returns home in grand style. I long to see him in a kente, you know, but a smashy suit and a fashionable cane is pretty stylish. The now very famous Delta Force group may be experiencing a bipolar kind of emotion. One that there is actually a law that works in Ghana, and the other a long sigh of relief after what many are calling a lenient judgment. What is the extent of your confidence in Ghana's Criminal Investigations Department? That is one of the questions that I have for my distinguished panelists today, and I bet you have your own answer. Permit me to ask if you have gas in your home. I'm hopeful the answer is yes. My name is Gifty Andopia. Welcome to Editors Forum. It's all about depth, knowledge about news and the national interest. We'll have a very quick chat about the Bukom Banku moment from last night, Otunfo's return home, the likelihood of a self-inflicted LPG shortage, the Ameri deal, its media coverage, and how we expect the story to end. Delta Forces, the NCA's reprieve, the CID boss amidst romance fraud trending much more now than ever. My guest today, Kafui Day, morning show host for GH1. He's here in the studio. You're welcome, Kafui.
Thank you very much. Good to have you.
Right. Good to have you as well. I must be saying that. Also here in the studio with me is host of political talk show Eko Sise on Asempa FM, Kaba.
Yes,
you're welcome.
Gifty. Thank you.
It's been a while.
Yes, glad to be back. You don't look for me.
Really dry and really political, but I'll take it that way and then we'll move. So we'll be starting to look at the boxing bout yesterday. This is Editors Forum.
I tried to stop him in the 10th round, and I see that Bukom Banku is a great fighter. He's a good fighter, so I have to take my time and beat him. You know, when the chance comes, then I take it. So that's boxing. I went to stop in the 10th round, but it's good. You know, it's tough. So I said, don't change another one. Round, so that's why I started round 7.
Okay. He stunned you with a few punches, which brought a cut, a little swell over your eye. Tell me, did you feel at that point that you were going to lose it in any way?
No, I don't think I'm going to lose. That's boxing. You know, sometimes you fight, you get swallowed, sometimes you get cut, but still you have to fight. You still have to go. But I didn't know that I was going for a win.
Okay, tell me something. If Bukom Banku challenges you to a rematch, would you do it? Would you grant it?
No problem. I'll give you a rematch. If you want a rematch, I'll give you a rematch. I'm a fighter. I'm always ready.
Which was the biggest factor that won the fight for you tonight?
Well, my coach, you know, he told me very well and encouraged me. When I come in my corner, I look to my corner. So my corner helped me to win that fight.
Okay. After here, what next for Basti Samer?
I'm going straight away to a world title. I want to make a record. I want to win a world title. I want to make a great thing. So after this, I'm going way up.
So this is how it all went down yesterday. Like I said, it gives us a break from the politics. Quite frankly, I'm tired of politics. So let's do some justice, you know, to ourselves, to boxing lovers, to sports lovers, whatever. Let me take your thought about the match yesterday, both of you. Whoever wants to start, you're free to go.
Well, for me, from the position of ignorance, because up until today, I never knew who this chap was.
The Basti guy?
Yeah, so I did some research and found out that he's been boxing for a while. He won a silver at the 2007 All-Africa Games.
Okay.
And he appears to be quite an accomplished fighter. Never heard of him before, but to knock down Bukom Banku.
Ghana's own Bukom Banku.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a great job.
Oh.
And it's a young blood, you know, bringing down old king.
Are you a fan of Bukom Banku? Have you ever been a fan of him?
No, he's more known for his antics outside of the ring. So I'm surprised he's even in the ring.
Okay.
Last year he took a whole year off following the NDC on the campaign trail. I met him in Kumasi while he was en route to one of these trips, and then, you know, his whole bleaching thing. And nobody really, I don't know, I didn't really quite take him as seriously as a, you know, a contender for a belt. So I was even asking Kaba whether there was something at stake for this particular fight.
I think there wasn't much. They're both going to get some money, some 100,000 CDs, I think. But that's why I'm trying to reach Nathaniel out of Sports, Joy Sports editor, so he can explain that to me. My production team are working working on that, and we'll bring you some, you know, more sports sort of analysis. But you do know, he's like he said, it's from a point of ignorance.
Complete ignorance.
Okay. I'm sure Kaba has some more information that's not from a point of ignorance.
No, I knew there was a bout between Bukom Banku and Basti. I knew it was built for tomorrow. I actually didn't know the time. So yesterday, I think around 10 p.m., I was going through, you know, Facebook, social media, just to get understanding what the day has been like. And then I saw people writing all over that, hey, Charlie, Bukom is being, you know, humiliated. Bukom is under
fire.
That
Banku is becoming
so I was like, okay, where's the bout? Which TV station is showing? So some people wrote to GH1, some people said, okay. Then I switched on to, you know, Go TV, and I got it on Super Sports. Just at the last bit of the round 7, you know, so I got to know this particular end, and then when, you know, Basti gave the interview. So I just went back to my Facebook and I said, whew, I missed this beautiful bout that people have talked about. But I think it was worth it. Those who managed to get to the boxing arena yesterday, they had a blast of their time. It was good. I mean, boxing has been with us for a long time. When we were kids, we used to wake up at 3 a.m. to go and watch Azuma.
You know,
those days are gone.
So you're not that old. I think you're my age mate.
I am old. You know that my birthday was on Friday. I am very old.
With the Minister for Communications.
Yes, myself and Esther.
Oh, happy birthday, Kaba. At the end of the show, we should sing him a happy birthday, won't we?
Yeah.
Great. But you see, apart from the, you know, sensation, the boxing and the fun, the sports and the crazy things, for example, that Bukom Banku will say, I'm interested to know from your perspective whether or not Bukom must have missed the golden opportunity to use his influence, to use his personality, who he has become, to bring some serious change in a place like Bukom. We're looking at issues of truancy, teenage pregnancy. It appears they love sex a lot. I mean, everybody loves sex, but it appears that it has been a major problem for this community. So do you feel, are you one of the people who feel that he must, I mean, he's lost a great opportunity, that given this loss, it's going to, you know, water down his influence in the area?
I think he's still a hero to the people of Bukom. I mean, he's a native of the community. I've had on some occasions to drive by that one-way street going towards Accra, and I've actually seen him doing his workout with people by the roadside, with people around him, you know, encouraging him as he does his sparring and his punching. And I've seen him do his morning drills in the community. I think they still revere him, no matter what happens. This is just probably a defeat, and that's it. But they still revere him. I'm sure he has some influence. But as you said, he should be able to use whatever he has to positively affect the community. It'll be interesting to actually put this question to him when you meet him one day, one-on-one, and ask him, look, what's your contribution to the people? Or even go to Bukom and ask them, look, what has he done beyond winning bouts? What was his contribution?
And making controversial statements.
Yeah, you may be surprised that he may be somebody who is looked up as a role model.
Kaba,
so forget the defeat.
The defeat will be very difficult to forget. See, social media is awash. It's all over the place, and we'll talk about the president's tweet, the supposed president's tweet. But Kaba, what's your own thoughts about this?
I think that as far as his influence in Bukom is concerned, I mean, there's no way his influence will wane. He's such a character. And, you know, I think Joy Sports put that particular question to him some time ago, and he was like, you know, the girls he takes care of, you know, all the girls in Bukom are his, you know.
And exactly my problem. Now you're looking at someone,
so his influence will not wane, except that the bragging right he has carried with him, you know, has suffered a very huge dent. It will take some time, you know, for him to come up again.
But I mean, personally, I think that I've followed him a bit, and I think that he hasn't really added much to Bukom as a community.
I think so.
I think. I mean, he's perhaps put it out there, but Bukom is a boxing hub. Everybody knows about it. So if it's about boxing, everybody knows Bukom for it. He must have had his own contribution to that. But in terms of using boxing to solve the problems, socio-economic problems,
cannot be one that Bukom Banku himself alone or by himself can cause.
But when people are looking up to you as a role model,
because a lot of
impregnating girls,
Zuma Nelson came from Bukom. You know, Ikote came from Bukom.
Right.
All those boxing heroes we know, they all came from Bukom, and then when they became national champions, they moved out of Bukom and started, you know, training elsewhere. The problem with Bukom is a social problem. It is a problem of poverty. Okay. It is a problem of underdevelopment. It will take a boxing, you know, champion or I don't know, 1,000 years to cause that kind of change. Political leadership. Because I've lived at Mamprobi before, so when you drive past, and in those days you drive past through, you know, in Shona, the beach front, get through, you know, customs, and then you get to Accra High Street, and then you drive all the way to Bukom. So the problem with Bukom is a social problem. It will go beyond Bukom Banku or even Ikote or Zuma Nelson to change the social character of the people there, the teenage pregnancy, the underdevelopment, the poverty.
I bet it's different, Kaba.
So probably what you're thinking is that because he's an ambassador of some sort for the community, he should be working with the people who can actually bring change.
Yes,
the District
he
Assembly,
should present some sort of a model,
MPs,
a model, you know, that the young people learn from. But if I see you as a model, beating people up and going to, you know,
he has his own personal issues.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
The issues that, you know, he fights with people.
And I'm saying that to build on the point, you know, coming to what Basti, who has now beaten him, who is now perhaps going to take the role of, you know, the Bukom that we know, could do, you know, in a golden opportunity that perhaps Bukom missed.
But Basti himself doesn't even live in Bukom. He's now in the US.
Or maybe he's
lived in the US, I think, in the last 6-7 years.
Maybe we're expecting too much from a sportsman. He is a man who beats other people for a living. And let's just allow him to
give the guy a break.
Okay.
He cannot carry the whole community on his shoulder.
Forgive me for getting all political with the man who beats people for a living. But we'll see how it goes. I'm still hopeful that I'll get Nathaniel so I could speak to him about what lessons that these two people can both draw. I think that Bukom's time perhaps was up, that people, you know, the euphoria that sort of came when you heard Bukom, that people had, it's sort of, you know.
And he looked slow. I mean, looking at the fight, he looked really slow, not in tip-top condition. And you're fighting a man who is younger than you, fresh blood, vim, aggression. He wants to make a name for himself, be the first man to beat Bukom Banku, and he did that, you know. So, yeah, probably that's the beginning of the end for his career.
But you know, yesterday I actually wrote something also on Facebook. I was like, it looks like the guy has a lot of enemies. You know, Bukom, a lot of people are happy that he's been beaten.
Yeah,
so I started asking myself, what is it that he has done? Of course, he works with controversy and, you know, the kind of thing he will say, you know, excite people here and there.
And then he makes politics into his stuff as well.
Exactly. I think that's also
I think he has made a certain level of contribution to boxing. You know, at the time that boxing was almost dying, Bukom Banku and Aita Powers gave people the opportunity.
Is that how that is that, anyway,
yes.
I almost said something that would
get
me into trouble.
He gave all of us, you know,
no, I'm going to say it's Aite Powers. Not, I don't know how
he gave all of us
your hometown people mention Aite Powers.
You know, he gave us, all of us, the hope that boxing was not dead. Right. You know, that there was still opportunity for younger people who wanted to, you know, go into the trade to get him there. Yeah. We cannot write him off like that. I think.
And I bet we should thank him for the boxing arena. From John Mahama, the former president.
Well, victories and defeats are all part of life. So let's see whether he will be able to bounce back, because he's now in very unfamiliar territory, not having lost before. So now let's see what happens. Are we going to see the real?
The guy has won 24 bouts.
He has lost now. He has lost now.
It's now 24-1. Let's see how he bounces back.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he may want to bounce back. So.
Well, talking about bouncing back, a lot of your comments have been bouncing on social media, especially Facebook, and including a tweet, supposedly put out there by President Akufo-Addo. Do I have that? I do have it. Let's put it up and look at it quickly so I can read for you what came, what reports we're getting from, is it the presidency? Yes. Okay, I'm going to show it to you, but let me read this to you. It says, our attention has been drawn to a screenshot being circulated on social media platforms to the effect that the president supposedly sent out a tweet at 7:55 a.m. on the 22nd of October 2017 to congratulate Bastir and inviting him to the Flagstaff House to eat Banku. While we congratulate Bastir on his success in the bout against Bukom Banku, we wish to draw the general public's attention to the fact that the purported tweet is fake and the creation of the imagination of certain mischievous persons. The president has not sent out any such tweet, and therefore we entreat the general public to disregard the purported tweet being circulated on social media platforms. We also entreat the public to take note of the president's official social media handles to avoid being unsuspecting agents of these mischievous persons. And the president's handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are at NA, and those are in caps, NA Akufo-Addo, and all handles have been verified, and it's signed by Kowesuman Esquire. Yeah, I like that, Esquire, not Esquire Star, by the way. Esquire, Council and Social Media Manager for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Don't I have that tweet? I should have that tweet right now, so our viewers can have a look at it. But whilst we search for it, let me take your views. It appears that the president, the moment he did the Shatawale birthday shout out, you know, with PG and etc., sort of opened him up to some of these things.
Yeah, so that exactly is the context. So he tweets from his official handle, you know, make you come visit me for Flagstaff, which I thought was great. I mean, Pidgin is one of the languages we speak in Ghana. It's unofficial, but it's a language.
It's actually broadcasting.
Exactly. Now. Yeah, no big deal. So I thought, hey, coming down to the level, and it was interesting that Shatta responded in perfect Queen's English initially, and then also went back and said, you the guy. You know, so for a bit of humor, like your intro said, it is not always about hardcore stuff. Sometimes you can just be happy, you know. So
we should be happy, actually.
But it's been politicized. Why is he speaking in this kind of language? The NDC boys will jump on it, you know, that kind of stuff. And so when this Bastia one comes, it's almost like, oh, Mr. President, what's going on? But it
right now he turned PG.
What it go on for the Flagstaff House? But it turns out that it was a fake tweet.
That's what they're saying.
And his team is saying, look, forget it, disregard it.
That's what they're saying.
I think it's end of story.
I mean, could it? So that's it. This is what has been circulated, and this is what we understand is fake. According to the presidency, the president did not put this out, but the government does congratulate the guy, Bastir, but it's not the one. Could it also be? I mean, from my ignorance, could it also be that, you know, the person, whoever does the, I don't expect, honestly, that the president does the update himself.
No, he has
certainly. So could it be actually that someone, whoever does it, did the first one, president didn't maybe comment, wasn't angry, was okay, and then you did the second one, and here is a president who is quite firm and proper, and he's like, really, guys, what's up? And then everybody comes out to say this is a fake tweet. I mean, come on.
You know, when the bout was ongoing, already it had taken political, you know, twists and angles. Oh yes. And there were straightforward. There were MPP guys who wanted Banku to be beaten.
That's not fair.
You know, on Facebook and on Twitter and everywhere, it was there. And when the bout ended in that, you know, knockout, and Banku was done and dusted with and finished, well, people say next time, you know, go and tell them, Muhammad, the next time, you know, you go and do it. So the bout had already taken political twist. And I'm not surprised of what is happening, you know, with the president's social media handles, because there were people who thought that, well, it's our time now. Bukom Banku has been with the NDC. And you yourself
that's not fair. This is a game. It's supposed to make all of us happy.
That's a typical Ghanaian situation. Everything is
politicized.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the tweet, and it appears to be coming from the verified handle of the president.
Exactly. So there's a blue tick there.
That is his verified handle. Unless somebody did some serious cut and paste job, you know. But I also know that for these Barack Obama, for example, his tweets that come from him personally are signed with B.O.
Yes.
John Mahama
had a similar
I don't know whether
thing.
the president has that system. I haven't seen.
Well, we might need some communication from the presidency.
Yeah.
So we know when the president is actually writing and when he is not.
Exactly. Otherwise, we're going to have issues like this. Because this looks like it's coming from the verified handle of the president.
It does. And let's put that on again. We're looking at it here in the studio and talking about it. In fairness to you, our viewers, actually we're here for you. So there it goes. There's a blue tick that shows that it's a verified handle, and comes with the president's picture.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't look any different. Let me see. 8,392 likes. That's quite that's quite like a president's handle, or a bit too low. I don't know.
At 7:55 a.m. this morning.
Yes.
Okay, after the fight.
After the fight.
Yeah. So early morning.
So
tweet.
Anyway,
but
I think Shafri makes a very.
He says it's not his. So what can you say?
Well, what we can say is that we can monitor and hazard our thoughts.
So was it deleted
put our
from?
thoughts
If it's gone, right?
It's gone. Yes.
Okay. Well.
But I mean, Kafui makes a very important point about the president or the presidency having to make us know when it is the president himself writing and when it's not the president himself writing. A lot of people have done that. President Barack Obama, like you said, did that. President Mahama did that, and he actually communicated. So you know that this particular tweet
from me.
is from
Unlike
me.
Trump, who does his own stuff.
Oh dear Lord.
You know,
Trump is the king of Twitter.
He has a Portus handle, and then he has his own personal handle.
And then he fires.
Oh yes, that's where he does what it is.
Okay, so let's move away from that particular conversation. I hope that we've lightened your day up a bit, and I don't personally think that boxing is something. It's a profession that you should take on yourself. Because I mean, look at
how much millions
Zoom brought us glory.
Yes,
Zoom brought us glory, man.
It does, but you get so beaten up. It's so depressing to see you with the blood all over your face.
They still get paid, and if you're good, people don't beat you that much.
You don't get beaten.
Look at Ali was still a pretty boy.
Azuma still has a very
right.
So be fast.
Okay, let's deal with the important issues now, shall we? Let's start with the Attorney Generals and the versus Delta forces. Now, the pro-NPP vigilante group, the Delta Force, had the 13 of its members fined 1,800 each. All kinds of school of thoughts, of course, have emerged. Now, the news, quite frankly, doesn't seem to have attracted a lot of attention as it did in the past. People like Kweku Banku think that they deserve a harsher judgment, like jail terms and not fines. And it appears, by the way, from listening to something yesterday, that the prosecutors had a hard time establishing the level of evidence that was needed to give them what perhaps Kweku Banku wanted them to have. So let me find out from you. Perhaps I should start with you, Kaba, since I'm sure you've been on this matter for quite some time on Nkosi Singh.
I mean, right from the day the story broke, I mean, we dealt with it.
Are you on the same page with Kweku Banku?
As in that they should have been jailed. I think that singular act, it's not just the guys who went to the, Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, attempting to get the security liaison officer out of his office, but the subsequent event of they visiting a court where these guys have been charged and attempting to, not just attempting, because everything they did amounted to asking their guys to get out of the courtroom. It was unthinkable. And I sat on radio and I gave a personal opinion that no, from that singular act, those guys needed to be roped in and jailed, prosecuted, and there was ample evidence that these guys needed to get in there to serve as a deterrent to a lot of people, because you cannot have people, ransack a court, sort of. And then, the state and the political leadership plays such a lackadaisical attitude.
But yesterday when I was listening to something, he read the reasons given by the prosecutors.
You cannot blame the court, but you can blame the Attorney General's office. Okay. And I blame the Attorney General's office, because you see, in the case of this Delta, there are about 3 issues that have been put together.
Right.
There are those who originally went to the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, attempted to get Mr. Obeng out of his office.
True.
Because he said he was not one of their own, or that their leader has
It
been promised
didn't work
to
hard
take
enough.
that position. Then these guys who the police got and arrested are charged and are presented before the court. And then another group of this Delta get into the courtroom because the judge who was sitting on the original case had asked that they be put on remand. And they have been told, by their superiors or whoever, the political leadership around them, that, oh, case we ain't see baby.
A formality.
Case we ain't see baby. So they were surprised, contrary to what they've been told, that they were going on remand for 2 weeks. And that's how come the other 13, attempted to help these guys who have been charged to get out of the court. Remember, the 1,800 fine that imposed, imposed on them was not imposed on the original court. The original court that was dealing with this matter, it was a magistrate court. Now, this court that dealt with it is a circuit court.
Yeah.
Because the judge who originally was handling this matter, the case was taken out of her court.
I guess it's about jurisdiction.
It is Attorney General's department. They decide which court they will take the case there.
Okay.
So, and then once they decided to take the case out of that court, they decided to change the charge. And a judge will sit on the case and judge on the matter based on the facts available to her.
Yes.
And then, compare it with the, Criminal Offences Act and what kind of sanctions that should go with it. So if you present that Kafui has been charged with riotous behavior, she will go into the books, analyze the facts, and then get to know, okay, if somebody is charged with rioting, the simple act you can give is to impose a fine. If they are not able to pay, then they go in for X amount of time.
12 months.
So
apparently.
that judge or the court cannot be blamed anyway. It is the Attorney General's department. They did a poor job. They decided to change the charge and present them before a different court, because then they knew that once, I know that if this case has gone back to the original court, the judge would have given them, get in there and go and serve as a deterrent to other people.
I'm not in the mind of the judge, so I wouldn't know why they decided to take this road. But then we can all agree to people like Kukubaku who say that this is going to make other people feel that they can misbehave.
They can just do anything and get away with it.
But maybe, Kafui, let me take your thought on this and find out from you as well, if as journalists or as reporters, whether or not we shouldn't beat the matter so much. So because the more you beat it, the more people get to know that something like this has happened and that they get armed.
When you say we should beat the matter so much,
does it make sense to you, Kafui?
Gifty.
I'll continue.
Kaba, and all of you watching, meet my surprise is that we are surprised at this verdict. Because listen, for as long as the Attorney General's office has a political link to the presidency, executive, you should expect more of such decisions. It's as simple as that.
But that's wrong for us to assume that the presidency had anything to do with it.
No, I'm just saying that the nature of the AG's job, where your job is, you answer to the president, really. And if you heard the comments that were being made after this whole Delta Force thing broke, with members of the NPP saying, look, you cannot punish people who helped us to win an election. Exactly.
And it happened right here in our studios.
Yes. And Delta Force is only one of the forces who are around. We have invisible forces. Recently we had Burma Camp. We've got Burma Camp in the north who stopped a school feeding. They closed down a school feeding office.
They're called Burma Camp?
Yeah, they're called Burma Camp. They have the nerve to name themselves after where the soldiers live here in Accra. So as long as you have this whole marriage of the AG's office linked to the executive, we shall not be surprised. We cannot be surprised. I mean, this is it. If we do not divorce them, we're going to have issues like this. Because you're going to tell the guys, look, chill, you don't worry, everything will be settled. And
But
in the end was settled.
Was settled.
Yes.
But
and the charge was changed to rioting. So all Askaba said, go into the books, what do you have for rioting? Give them what rioting is.
But I mentioned that they must be going through some sort of bipolar emotions at the moment because the
guys?
Those guys are ecstatic.
They must be excited.
They're heroes.
Yes, but I'm tempted to believe that when they sit,
you think they are remorseful?
when they sit in their in a reflective mood, then they'll be able to know that. I mean, you can't just do anything and get away with it. That even before you get away with it, you must have gone
They've been
through.
slapped on the wrist. 1,800 cedis. I doubt whether they even paid those fines themselves. Those fines probably were paid for, and you're out. Less than 24K for what they did.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, unless we decouple, we should expect similar judgments.
Are we going to see that happening anytime soon? I don't think so.
I do not think so, because it's a position of power. You can get things to move your way. So
the sad thing is that most of the time when political leaders and even we the citizenry agree that this is the way to go, and we had a Constitutional Review Commission, the respondents and all those who spoke to the commission agreed that we had to decouple the Attorney General's office from the Ministry of Justice. Government had to issue a white paper, and they said no. Government at the time said no, because they know that it will play to their advantage. Of course. If you keep the status quo.
Exactly.
So long as I don't see that happening anytime soon, even with this special prosecutor. It won't happen.
Unless you have something.
Because see, that office will still continue to be charged with deciding, would you prosecute or not prosecute? And if the AG or whoever, the special prosecutor, decided, okay, this matter is not worth pursuing or prosecuting, that ends the matter.
Why don't we wait and see how that office goes? I mean, the whoever is put in that office goes, so that we can judge.
It's our job to be skeptical. I mean, we as journalists, we look at the stuff.
Do you think
convince me?
You never know.
Do you think?
You never know.
Well,
but that's why
skeptical.
I think. So what we ought to do at the moment is perhaps to look more at the law, look more at the legislative backing, to this special prosecutor office. Then we'll begin to question some of the issues. For example, the issue about donations, that the office is going to so in the bill they've written, there's a bit that has funding, and under funding they accept donations, and so those are some of the things that we should be questioning. Perhaps that's what is going to make the difference.
And you think that with our current system we cannot prosecute if we see evidence to that effect?
No, we can.
So what's preventing us?
But this is supposed to be a special.
No, so what's preventing us from doing that? Do you have to wait for another office to do that?
So perhaps the system, I don't speak for government, by the way, but you see, perhaps the systems that are available are such that we needed a different one. And I don't think, a lot of people seem to agree with government about setting up that office, the special prosecutor's office.
I'm not downplaying the effect of the special prosecutor's office. I think that it will add on to quest, to rid
this
the public system of corruption.
Hopefully.
But I don't think that the kind of expectation a lot of people are having, that once that office is established, then corruption is gone. And then, people in public office will no longer engage in corrupt act. I started to think, why would they think that?
I mean, look at the creation of fast-track courts.
Why would they think that? But those are working. But those are working. But those are working, aren't they?
Is the speed of justice, has it increased appreciably?
I think so. I think so.
I think so. They still spend a lot of time in court.
Yes, that's true. But I think it has worked. To an extent, it has worked. The fast track courts.
If we think we can solve issues by throwing offices at them, create another office. I even heard recently, just last week, there was a call for a special court to try ministers who have been involved in corruption. I'm thinking, here we go again.
Another one. Who will give you that suggestion?
Okay.
Here we go.
Because the special prosecutor is actually supposed to target high corruption, economic crimes. But even that, Yoko is there to prosecute that.
Exactly.
So we set up institutions, replicate institutions, and it's like they are virtually come to do the same thing. Look, it will create a lot of problems if you are not careful.
And for
so those are your final words. Let me take your final words.
A cynic will say, look, this is just jobs for the boys and girls. Let's create another office with bureaucracy, put some people there and give them official cars, let them pretend to be working, who also pretend to follow what they're doing. I mean, that's it. I mean, for me, I'm eternally skeptical.
If we are serious in fighting corruption,
Yeah.
strengthen the Aegis department.
Okay, so in the meantime, whilst we are trying to fight corruption, let's go look at the CID, because something interesting is happening there as well. Now, the CID boss, who's now former, I'm talking about Bright Oduro, has echoed the sentiment that many Ghanaians share about politicization of state institutions. After he was asked to proceed on leave, he is determined to look into the matter, including allegations that he shields land guards and other criminals. He also believes that he deserves better than proceed on leave notice after close to 30 years of service to the nation. Now, the minority in parliament, for example, are sympathizing with him. But how differently could government, the IGP, the police service have handled this to avoid what has now become a scandal, considering what many Ghanaians have expressed as lack of faith and confidence in the Ghana Police Service? That's the question that I have for you, gentlemen. Could they have done anything differently?
Listen, Gifty, so for me, I've been looking at comments coming not from politicians, because if you want to listen to what politicians are saying, it's predictable.
Okay.
The NDC guys will be saying, oh, what happened?
Well,
the MPP guys will be defending. So I'm listening to a man like Vitus Azim, who says, look, to make a move like this and then put Madame Adodankwa in the seat is a dent on the president's reputation. Professor Jampo, who is a political scientist from the University of Ghana, says the appointment of the new boss is not politically smart. Those are the people I want to hear from.
You want to listen to?
Yes, and journalists.
So you agree with them?
It's not politically smart, I don't think.
Why
because
not?
This woman was smack bang in the middle of. I mean, I think she will probably be the first CID boss in Ghana to have been recorded by a member of the public. What a record. How can we have our CID boss?
I see.
I mean, it's police people who record other people, not the other way around.
So, by saying that, you mean that she has not been smart?
I'm saying that I'm wondering what even the police officers within the Ghana Police Service think about what is going on.
The A+ incident.
Exactly.
How would that have anything
I've
to do with her competence?
I've heard arguments that she's automatically in line.
Yes, and I hear she's quite competent as well. That
fine.
I mean, it takes very few women to get to the level that she has. So I mean, let's even put the gender bit aside.
I'm not even going to go there. I think she's a fine police officer, but her former boss, who is the ex-boss of CID, is saying, look, there needs to be a probe into this whole TY and A+ thing to clear her. And there have been arguments about police officers. I was listening to Newsfire yesterday and talking about how former police officers of high rank have had all kinds of scandals associated with them, but there have been investigations, they've been cleared, and they've gone on their promotions.
So at least the investigation should have gone on, clear her before you push her there into that
the whole thing
position.
Was it doctored, as you were saying? Which parts of the tape were doctored?
If you listen to their explanation for doctored, I think they meant to say edit. I think they meant to say that it's in cover. Why are you laughing? But because quite frankly, if you listen,
if you cut and you put here and you paste,
but I think
the flow
they
of
wanted,
the conversation.
yes. So the flow of the conversation. If you say doctored, in my sense, I think, in my opinion, I think you're referring to something. Something has been removed and added to necessarily implicate.
My question would have been
you.
Show me which part of the tape is doctored.
I think that
if I were
so this is the explanation the PRO gave. The PRO says they spoke for so and so about 58 minutes, but that video or whatever sound you're listening to, that's about 4 or 5 minutes. So it has been doctored. So it has been doctored. I mean, that's the argument she makes. Now I'm thinking that she's trying to say that it's been cut down to from 58 to 5. Yes, well, but you see, talking about that, how does that dent her competence, her ability to do the job? The CID, her boss could be embittered and could be, speaking because he's obviously embittered. He's not happy that he's been asked to proceed on leave. But if this woman is capable, why don't we put her there? Just let her do the job.
Is she totally clear of any suspicions about what happened with the A+'s allegations?
You have your suspicions?
Well, it's in the public domain. We're not too convinced that everything is clear.
Okay.
Fine, a report came out about the whole investigation, but there are still clouds.
Right.
And I don't know what the rush was to have put her in that position. But it's been done already. We live to see how the Ghana Police Force will deal with that.
Okay.
The general public, the confidence that we will have in her,
Exactly.
whether it will still be there. Because she may be a fine officer, but you only need a fly to go into a glass of water to taint a perfectly clear glass of water.
True, true. So the question I was going to come with to you is whether, where do we go from here? Whether or not there's something that actually the people of Ghana can do, media, reporters. What is it that we can do to, if we really think that this woman doesn't deserve the position at the moment, because there's still issues that ought to be cleared out?
Well, let me start from here. I think for, Commissioner of Police Bright Odro, and the fact that he's been asked to proceed on leave. I mean, when you read the Police Service Act, 1970 Act 350, it's quite clear. You are 3 months to go on retirement. You must proceed. And the understanding is that he has accumulated leave. You must go. I mean, there's no qualms about it. I think the only problem which has come to mar all this proceed on leave was the fact that a member of parliament, said that, well, you, Bright Odro, have had
dealings
things
with
to do
land guards
with
and criminals,
here and there.
etc.
That is the only problem. But even that, I don't see it as a problem.
But then he did not respond to those allegations, did he?
No, I think he has to. I think he has to clear his name. But now that he's out, he has the opportunity to go through a civil suit, sue Kennedy Japan, ask him, where do you have the evidence to claim that I have done A, B, C, or X, Y, Z, to clear his name. But you cannot blame the Police Service Council, because the letter that has been given to him to proceed on leave, there was nothing like, you have been dealing with Langa, so you are asked to go.
There were no
the letter only stated that you are due for retirement January 2018, and so as you prepare to, step aside, let your deputy take over, come and act, and it's normal. Then we come to that side of that deputy who comes to act. Who is he or she? And now we know is that ACP Mame Yatiwa Adudankwa. The challenge with her is that now she has a certain cloud over her head. The A+ tape, which she has come to claim that is spliced, doctored.
Yes, but they've not really addressed the substantive issue.
Which is?
If it's doctored, okay, what is it that you said that, or what is it that they're claiming you said that you didn't say?
Something yesterday. The police administration will by themselves do themselves a lot of good if they brought a closure to that part
matter
of the story. Because Bright Odro himself, when he was asked on Star FM, said that as far as they are concerned, the allegations of bribery or corruption against those two deputy chief of staff, the matter has been brought to a closure. They know that as far as because he led the investigation.
Yes, and we saw that report.
Yes, he led the investigation. So as far as he is concerned, there's nothing to be, there's no reason to go into that matter anymore. But the fact that there's now a tape which purports to, allege a lot of things from the lady who is coming to take over from Mr. Bright Odro. There must be some sort of a service inquiry, to bring that part of the story to a closure. As far as her competence is concerned, I mean, this is an acting position anyway. She could be confirmed, or she could be asked to go back to her deputy role, and then another person appointed to act substantively, which is what we are expecting to happen.
That's what you're expecting to happen.
No, she could be asked to.
She could be confirmed
or not.
So you're expecting that she will not be confirmed?
No, I don't.
Do you have any inside information?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that maybe you misunderstood what I said.
Yes,
there are options available to the police administration. She could either be confirmed from her acting position, or she would be asked to go back to her deputy CID boss position. Whilst another person, is promoted to act in that substantive position.
I think Kafui had a point. Kafui, do you?
Yeah, I think I'm not too comfortable with Mr. Odro speaking. I really
he's hurt.
It's from a communications perspective. You will say that he's doing himself more harm.
He wants to,
because Kabaye just indicated that he should go. He should clear his name. He should go to court.
I mean, he said so many things. He said he feels he's been hung to dry by the IGP. And so the IGP didn't back him up. These are his words.
Yeah.
Didn't back him up when these land guard allegations
there
were
are internal politics everywhere.
Yes, but
at TIB there are internal politics.
You don't bring your
Yeah, there are
There's as much as there is on multimedia.
you don't go on a radio station and then now speak your internal stuff. I think he should probably have just chilled.
Will this hit the options, for example, that Kaba is putting on the table for him? That's if he hasn't considered it already to perhaps go to court.
He can still go to court.
He will sue. But when you've gone out there and spoken, said things like the kinds of things.
Well, in the courtroom, I'm sure it will be up to him and Kennedy to prove their case.
He will still go to court and clear his name, because if he claims that he's innocent,
not done that.
And the fact that he fraternizes with criminals, he cultivates relationships with criminals to deal with cases. I mean, he talked about how he fraternized with some criminals and that brought to the Atayi under arrest. And so many things that he does. The fact that I'm hanging with land guards doesn't mean I'm facilitating their work. That's his argument. And he feels that he's been wronged seriously.
And this one, the first time, police, I don't know, maybe it's their modus operandi.
And the CID, this
when Kofi Boateng used to be ACB, Kofi Boateng was operations and he was the Tagore case, the cocaine matter. Yeah. The same allegations were made that he was fraternizing with drug barons here and there.
Exactly. I
think that is maybe the way they operate. They want to get information out of these supposed criminals.
Yeah. Well, you have to infiltrate gangs and then do all kinds of. But I think he's talking. I don't think it's helping him. Okay. I wouldn't do it.
Well, I don't know, sir. If you're watching, if you're watching or you're someone who knows him.
Now he's on leave towards retirement. He should sue. Civil suit, clear his name.
But it could also be the dead goat thing, dead goat fear no gone. He's not coming back again, so he can say anything.
But he has said actually that he's determined to clear his name. He has said so. So if as whether or not going to court is the way to go and to deal with it.
But how else can he clear his
name? But then how does he have the what is needed to prove that he hasn't done what's
it's not up to him to clear his name. It's up to Kennedy Japan to prove to back his allegations with evidence. And he has said he has the evidence. So let them meet in court and then we'll all be there to report on the matter.
Yeah. If he waits to take some big money from him and he goes ahead into retirement.
We'll all be there with our cameras and our microphones and everything to report on it. But this matter has been dealt with quite extensively during the week. We can move on quickly from there. Let me find out from you. Do you guys have gas in your homes?
No, I do.
Yes.
Oh, you do?
I'm scared of gas. I'm scared of gas, but it's only a backup.
Okay, come on, wait. Come on, when you say we do, I mean, are you saying you and Kafri? Oh, yeah, we know that. Yeah. I mean, so that's stating the obvious. Was that necessary?
We do have gas.
No, you don't know who lives in his house.
No, but we can tell. We can tell from his finger who stays in this house that he's not alone.
We do have gas.
You do have gas. Okay, great. Kafri, you say you do?
Yes.
So were you concerned this week?
I've blown up a kitchen before, so I'm really scared of gas.
Why? You attempted boiling water?
I lit something was leaking and I lit
boiling water.
No, not even boiling. I was just
so you see, one would have thought that it's people who are not smart, who would light a match or something when there's gas. But you see, you did how many years ago?
I was 11.
Oh, 11. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then it makes sense.
He can be forgiven.
But you see, over the week, I mean, some gas users have been stranded. They were stranded when the gas retailers decided to do what they call the internal self-audit by closing down their outlets. Now, that action has been called off, but they seem to be agitated, really, over exclusion from the new gas recirculation policy being rolled out by government. Safety, of course, is paramount, but the way its government is rolling out this policy, really, is it fair? Kaba, let me start with you. Actually, hold on, sorry. Before I do that, I think we do have a package there. Let's look at how some people went got stranded because they shut down those outlets.
So just some few hours after the LPG marketing companies issued a statement to inform all the operators to shut down until further notice for the companies to undertake some maintenance. We are here today at Awudome. To be precise, we are at the Anaset gas filling station. And from what you can see behind me, they are totally shut down. No one is operating. Speaking to some of the workers here, they tell me that though they didn't even hear about the announcement from the LPG marketing companies, all they know is that they had directives from the owner and the boss that they should shut down and no one should work today.
I
came here to refill my cylinder, but they tell me they've shut down to pave way for some maintenance works. I didn't know about this. I wouldn't have come here in the first place.
Situation was no different at the Trade Cross gas filling station in Odoko as customers were turned away.
Oh, I went to Dansuman to get gas. The place was closed. I didn't get some. So this morning I said I'll come here and then see if I can get some. And this place too is closed. So I don't know what to do.
You say you were cooking?
Yes, I'm cooking. And I've left the house. My gas is finished. So I'm going back home.
However, with some of the companies that we visited that are operating just like that of the Trust gas filling station, they tell us that they have not received any directive from the LPG Marketing Association.
As I was saying, safety is paramount, but the LPG retailers are questioning how government is doing it. They say that they have taken this business from scratch to where it is at the moment. So if you want to roll out a new policy, you ought to put them in. They ought to have a buy-in. You have to bring them on board. That's really their argument. So even though what they did pretty much wasn't, I thought that they were like holding everybody else ransom, closing down those outlets just like that. That wasn't fair to people. But government is rolling this policy out without them, it appears. Is that fair?
Fair? No, I don't think they are being fair to the industry holders. Because you see, these are individuals, bodies that they decided to step in at a time that we had a lot of challenge with deforestation. And I remember during the PNDC time when they started championing LPG gas. It was not something that everybody was kind of ready to buy into it. We were used to our old firewood. And then these guys decided to step in, invest into such an enormous, extent that 30 years, 35, almost 40 years down the line, you want to readjust, you want to
kick them out, sort of.
And so, that policy of the cylinder recirculation module have been around for some time. The NDC, proud before, getting out of office, attempted implementing it. They started speaking to these industry folks. They kicked against it. And then, we went for elections and then they got out of power. Now, the MPP, when they got into power, initially wanted to implement this policy. Again, it was kicked against by these same folks. And then we had the gas explosion at Atomic. So government thought that, well, this is a fine opportunity to run the policy through whatever the case. And I think that cabinet, yes, the decisions they've taken have been good. But this is an industry you have people who have invested in. Still buy, get to buy their time, get to buy their, their thoughts and everything that you want to do with this kind of policy. Get their input, carry them along. Because the shutdown was, of course, it was a knee-jerk reaction. It was a reaction towards the MPA, which had also, gotten up, because cabinet has now given them, some power, even though they had the power already, to go and close down stations. At the time they decided to shut down, nationwide, the MPA had shut about 34 gas stations for some offenses here and there.
Right now, I think it's about 36.
It's 36 now, right?
Shut so far.
So they said that, well, if you are going about shutting down, then we want to help you shut down. We will do it ourselves, set up a task force, go around and check if our members are complying with the rules. It doesn't sound well. In fact, it doesn't look too good. But they had a point, except that the modus, the way they went about it might have been terribly bad, because then it looked like, okay, you are taking the whole country for a ransom. Well, because when you squeeze government, or when you squeeze the people will cry to the government and say, oh, these people, they give us the gas today, you don't. So I think they should go back to the table. And I spoke to all the stakeholders on my show this week. And no, last week. Today is Sunday.
Yes, so we have started a new week.
The understanding I have from the MPA, from the Energy Ministry, from the gas producers, or the retailers, is that they are now going back to the table, and they will reformulate this policy out of government. Because what policy, the cabinet decision is a policy. They have now to fine tune it.
But that's the issue. That's another issue, because the oil marketing companies are rejecting that as a policy. They're saying that this is a cabinet decision. Cabinet has met and decided on something. If it's going to be a policy, it has to be taken to Parliament. I spoke to the Chief Executive Officer of the OMC. Yes, and he says this is not a policy. It is a decision taken by Cabinet.
It is.
So they're rejecting it, basically.
It is. And it's going to be difficult if the way the government wants to go about it now. If they want to go about it the way they are going about now, it will be difficult implementing it. Even though government has the power to do everything. But you need to carry these people along, because per the policy and the cylinder recirculation model, you are going to have bottling plants. I hear about 9 of them, or scattered across the regions. Now these bottling plants will bottle the cylinders and send it to collection points. Where are these collection points going to be? Now the NPA says it's going to classify the already existing gas stations that we have into low risk or high risk, depending on how the classification will be done. I don't know, or whatever they will do to classify them. I don't know. But the point is that you still are going to need these people. Even if you decide to go by this same policy, you still have to get them, because they are the industry, they are the stakeholders. You still have to carry them along. So the best point: get back to the negotiating table, get back to all the stakeholders. Let's talk through. I think that in the midst of the gas explosion, a lot of emotions took over, logical reasoning. And so now that the situation is dying down a bit, people will have to come back to, quote unquote, our normal senses, think through issues, not be emotional, and come to understanding that this is the way we should go. Otherwise, this policy will fail.
Okay. Well, so we definitely don't want this policy to fail. Kafui, I'm going to come to you for your thoughts.